Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Berry Robinson and friends. Seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. The In My Opinion Show is also seen on Flint, Michigan Comcast Cable, Channel 17, every Saturday at 6 p.m. and every Wednesday at 8:30. The In My Opinion Show is also viewed on the Detroit, Michigan Comcast Cable, Channel 68, 7 days a week. Please consult your community calendar. If you will email me your email addresses, I will make sure that I email you back the times and the dates of the viewing on Detroit, Michigan Comcast Cable Channel 68. We have a wonderful show in store, but first I want to introduce our very talented co-hosts. We have Miss Denise Smith-Allen.
Hi, Ronald.
Hi, Denise. We have Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ronald.
Hey, Henry, how you doing? And welcome our millions of viewers worldwide. Let's talk about the Constitution. The American dream, what has happened to it? Our right to privacy is being eroded by the very government that has constitutionally guaranteed to protect us. How did we lose it? The Constitution states we as citizens have the right of privacy in our lives, homes, and bodies. Let's take a look at the assaults on American citizenry rights. So, social nets for the poor are being dismantled by leaps and bounds. Collective bargaining is being destroyed. Voter disenfranchisement is at record levels. Workers' pay is being taxed to death, especially the retired. Big businesses are sending millions of jobs to Mexico and offshore with government help, with subsidies. Millions of American workers have lost their homes, jobs, cars, savings, investments. Their faith in the American system of government Crime is spiraling out of control. Financial institutions are hoarding billions of taxpayer dollars as a result of President Obama's bailouts. The rich are getting richer and richer at the expense of the middle class and poor. 1 out of 6 families in the U.S. go hungry every day. The criminal justice systems are incarcerating thousands of men, women, and young adults at alarming rates. America has the distinction of being the world's largest jailer. What has happened to the American dream is outlined as protections in the Constitution. Big Brother is everywhere, from telling ordinary citizens to spy on their neighbors, friends, workmates, to intrusion of your body at airports, border crossings, to eavesdropping on internet messages, phone calls, x-rays at postal services. We as citizens of the U.S. must stop this madness. Remember, the people we vote and send to state and federal offices as our representatives are doing this to us. Denise, what is your thoughts?
That's an interesting article, number one, and it certainly is, in my opinion, very true. I think that things started happening, and it's, again, from my perspective, when technology came into play. And I'm saying that probably within the last 15, 20 years, more so than before. With the advent of the cell phones and things of that nature, we have at our disposal the ability to spy on anyone. And most times, I would say that what we have, with the cell phones and recorders and things like that, are supposedly for good events. But now it would be the same thing as if, we're having a conversation. I decide I want to turn my cell phone on and record this conversation. Now, depending on, how we are as friends or whatever, this thing can be turned around and put on the internet and that kind of thing. And, it really becomes something very destructive. I think that there's a lot of fear that has permeated the American psyche as far as what has transpired as of 9/11, which we should be concerned, but we should not necessarily operate on such a massive thought about fear to the point whereas we're allowing federal and state government to infringe on the rights that you spoke about from the Constitution. We should have a little bit more say in that, and I think unwittingly we're allowing this to happen based on the fear factor, and that's my position on that.
And then it appears that, not appears, but it seems that, with the Patriot Act and things of that nature, all right, and the fear mongering that's going on, coming out of Washington, it doesn't serve the populace really any good, okay? Because it's human nature. If you're in fear of something, all right, then you're gonna pretty much believe whatever your so-called leaders tell you. Okay, whether it's come from the president or your block club president. Henry, what are your thoughts?
Ron, I think if we go back to the Magna Carta, these were days in which we had divine rights. We were driven by divine rights of kings, and they had absolute authority to do anything they want to. And they spied on people, they executed people based upon spying and so on and so forth. And also despots do the same thing. It's the kind of government that ran Europe, most of the war-torn Europe for many, many years, of which we get our own source of government and our feelings about what government is and how it ought to be. But when the United States was born back in 1776, at least one of the things that they made imperative, they didn't want any of the abuses of the king to occur within our government. So they, of course, the Constitution was eventually written, and the folks rejected it because it didn't protect individuals enough. So they came up with the Bill of Rights. They said, we want freedom from intrusion. We want rights of privacy. We want rights to bear arms. We want the rights to have our own religion, if we like, and so on and so forth. It was all about the rights of individuals so they could live out graceful lives during their lifetime. But Denise said, and we lived with this way of life, and we really embraced it up until, I'm going to guess, the 60s, because everybody wanted their own privacy. And even today, if you compare attitudes or social norms among African Americans, one of the things they don't want intrusion into their lives. They give up little information, they let little light into their space and little light out if they have to, whether it's churches or other institutions or individuals. And so a lot of African Americans are likely to see this as too intrusive. And I'm not just focusing on African Americans, but all people do. They see what has happened, Denise, to us. And I think you're right about it was allowed to occur because of technology. And we were all sleeping at the switch. And little bit at a time was eroding away. Laws had to be made. Rules had to be made. Some laws had to be torn down. But yet we never took a look at really what was happening in this whole process. And today with the Patriot Act, I believe that there's that some of that hinges on deceptive maneuvers that could erode away other rights that we have. And the people who write these criticisms, their voices are being drowned out by the urgency to protect us against foreign enemies, enemies of the state, or enemies of our own personal deal if we were caught in it. But I am appalled. All of a sudden, I realize how much we've lost. Because anytime you can go to the internet or someone can pull up all your vital records and publish them on the internet for all to see, that is contrary to the very basic rights and nature of Americans who live in this country.
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, there is no real privacy in America anymore. I don't care what they say in terms of you have, a right to, deal with things, have to FOIA certain information. The information is readily available. As you say, you can pull up a lot of information. Not necessarily accurate information, but information nonetheless on the internet.
That's that is the most disgusting part of it. It does not have to be accurate.
Exactly.
People can cut and paste stuff.
Yes.
But, I just a week ago, maybe several weeks ago, and I called you on this, Ron. I sent you maybe the attachment to it. Someone had pasted together a confession by the President of the United States as not being born in the United States. They had put that on the internet. I sent you that, didn't I? Or I talked to you about it.
You talked to me about it.
Oh,
yes.
well, and then they pulled it real quickly. And I never heard one word from the press. I never heard one word from the journal. I never heard one word from the NAACP. I heard nothing from anybody. Guess what? That's that process of erosion. If you can do that to the President of the United States and completely screw the heads off of people because they don't know what to believe.
Right.
They believe that government is untrustworthy.
Right.
And that helps to drive that.
Yes.
So they stand by and make no decisions at all while the whole transformation.
Well, that's
of
the
government.
paralysis,
Yeah.
excuse me, if you will. But that's exactly what's going on now. You've got people who are paralyzed by fear. And because of that paralyzation, they're not willing to even respond to, as they should, about this erosion of our liberties and our rights. They're just not, like, I'm too fearful. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay? And then you have, private policing, you've got public policing, you've got places like you were mentioning about going to the airport and how they're intrusive as far as, and we understand, we do have to be concerned about, some threats.
Sure.
But we cannot blanket this whole country the way it is happening to the point where people are afraid to walk out their door. And even those that live inside their doors are afraid of what's going on. I mean, I just can recall, and this is probably a little off the path, but yet it is, of the situation of the gentleman that lived in upstate New York, the veteran, at home, and there was an erroneous call about him having a health issue. And based on that erroneous call, the police showed up, okay? And he's telling them through the door, I'm okay, I didn't call you. But they were insistent. They wanted to go inside of his home. They continued to bang on the door, ultimately taking the door off the hinges. Went inside. The man had told him, I'm a military vet. I have a heart condition. They went in there. They tased that man, and they shot him and killed him. Okay? Now, this happened probably over a course of time, and these police will be indicted for that. But I'm just saying, this was an erroneous call that was put out there about him needing some assistance. And the thing that brought it to light in terms of these police officers becoming indicted was the fact that they heard the whole thing unfold. They were recording it. They were listening.
Yes.
Okay? And in that vein, I mean, it was beneficial to this man who is no longer with us that these people will be brought to justice for what they did. But I'm just saying, this whole thing with these recordings and, everybody, everywhere you look, whether you're inside your home or not, could be subject to something of that caliber. That's just
It's the loss of trust in government. When you can see the framework of what I saw, what they did to Obama.
Yes.
And they had actors, and I could tell that it may have been fake because in the background was the picture of the signing of the Declaration. Like it was kind of silhouetted like that.
Yeah.
And but if people can do that, and the press, the free press,
Right.
that's threatened by nobody, allows it to happen, and does say nothing, it helps the process.
Right.
And I think that courts of law should have somebody's institutions, colleges, universities, others should have stepped up and said something. Because if you don't say something, silence gives credence to that.
Yes, it does.
Silence
right?
is consent.
Yes, it does.
Now you want to know why there's so much erosion of the rights of Americans, in particular the rights of privacy. I think you have the picture.
Well, you know, with your driver's license, they talk about enhanced driver's license, enhanced passports. From my understanding is that enhanced driver's license and your enhanced passports, you can be tracked anywhere in the world. All right. There's something in that. There's something in that material that they use for driver's license and passports.
Well, even to take it a step further with the OnStar and various other tracking GPS. I mean, there is no way you can be tracked by your cell phone.
Exactly.
You know.
Good point.
So I mean, like I said, there is no such thing as privacy. There's no such thing as you being unavailable. You know,
Exactly.
when they were talking about who the individuals they were looking for, Bin Laden and the rest, they knew all the time where they were because they had the tracking mechanism
Sure.
to know.
But
Absolutely.
you know, I don't have a problem with some of this.
You're
And
right.
This is where we kind of divide up on this old outlook. There are some things that I don't mind being tracked for.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm not an adversary against the government. They would have a right to track me if I were.
Right.
But I don't want to be tracked just for because government has a right to track me or a right to track you. I don't mind the chip being in my driver's license as long as it's not used for divisive reasons.
But what's the purpose for the chip anyway? You know what I mean? That's what I've never been able to understand.
Well,
what's the purpose for the chip
the
in your
chip is
passport?
well,
all right,
is to identify you.
Well, that's
There are places where there are certain circumstances that we need to be identified. Like, for example, when you go in an airport, when you go to a foreign country, when you vote, you want to protect the integrity of the voting system. You
but
know,
that's
I
still
don't
that's still
mind.
intrusion in my opinion. All right.
But
On
you
your basic,
also have
civil rights.
privileges under the state. Even in the worst of situations, there's some good things about them.
But isn't that the very reason that in 1776, when the framers of the Constitution, all right,
Internet.
wrote that, all right, they specifically said that we don't want that,
Yeah, you're right.
and they alluded to the fact that
Life,
that should
liberty,
not ever
and
be
the
there
pursuit of
right.
happiness.
because they've got enough of that shit over from England, all right.
But they didn't see the internet coming.
Well,
That took us by storm. But I think Denise hit it on the head, the nail on the head, when she said that the internet has given birth to a lot of that. And but we do need that. We lived for 200 years with the right of privacy. Then it just eroded. In 10 years, it's gone.
well, who do we blame for that?
I don't know. We have to now. Remember, you can't go out here. You know,
George Bush
No.
with the
You
Patriot
cannot.
Act.
You have to look at all of the systems, and you have to blame everybody for it. And you cannot trust either party to protect those critical things for us. And that's the Bill of Rights. You just gotta hold everybody accountable for those kind of things.
But they don't hold people accountable. I think that's the worst part of it. All right.
That's where American people have to make the difference.
See.
Because political parties are not going to do it for you.
All right. That's what happened. That's what happened. You know, in America's past. All right. We got tired of that. That's what's happening in Syria and a lot of those countries overseas. They got tired of these rules and laws and so forth. All right, that were detrimental. You know what I mean, to the populace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And I think that's maybe what very well happened here in the United States. People are tired, all right, of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being afraid.
But you
All
know,
right. Every time you pick up a newspaper, you turn on the TV, you listen to the radio. All right. There's threats of some kind. Okay.
Uh-huh.
but you know, and I was criticizing political parties. You cannot do without them either. You must have a political party, or else some uniform system will come up that's dominant. You got to have some kind of friction between two groups to maintain freedom.
Not when one group is taking
A man and a woman,
rights,
for example.
taking rights
That kind
away.
of friction, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I can deal with that kind of friction.
There's
all
that
right?
term that is in my head, and I'm trying to think of it. It's an allegory or
Allegory.
No, it's not allegory, but it's an allegory. It's like you got an elite group that is dominant over the masses.
That's
okay.
an oligarchy.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that's
okay.
basically
Yeah.
what we are moving.
We don't want to go there.
I know, but that's what we're moving towards.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree with you.
We're moving towards
I
that,
agree.
and as far as political parties, I mean, to me, that whatever the word
Oligarchy.
is, that's where the two groups come from to make up this political system. But they're really from the same, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion.
Well, you got to have a ruling authority, but
Absolutely.
But you never want to blend those two. You got to make sure that that's the only way that we can remain free. If you let everything go to Republicans, I feel sorry for you. If you let everything go to Democrats, I feel sorry for you because you're gonna
Exactly.
have the same outcomes. But what you got to do is have this balance here, so there's a little bit of friction, not as much as we see today in Washington, because there's nothing there. There's nothing but a wasteland.
Right. But that's what I'm saying again.
Well, let's get rid of both parties.
Well, that's what I'm
Well, you
saying.
can.
You got this elite group. This elite
create
group is
two
at
new
the
parties.
top,
Mhm.
and out of that elite group comes these two different factions, but
Okay.
they're basically representing ultimately the same agenda about holding on to their stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the rest of us are trying to figure out how to get stuff.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, it's just that simple.
That's a graphic
Simple.
way of describing what we're talking about. Denise, she did a great job about that.
Get your stuff.
Yeah,
It's really, I mean.
but you know, that's why we need that little friction there, or else those of us in the middle will get caught in the wasteland.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
we always got to be able to move along in the same frame that the people who lead our system of government.
Well, how do we get there? All right. Talk is talk and talk is cheap. But how do we achieve that goal? That's what I'd like to know. All right.
I think part of what we need to continue to do is go through the education process and engage people and let them understand what's in it for them. Okay, because most times we're pretty much a reactive group and even individual.
Sure.
Unless it becomes a personal thing, whereas we're talking about stuff now. You lose something, and then it becomes a personal matter. I'm concerned about it. I need to figure this out.
Denise, you know, I want to present a very negative and pessimistic part of that. I don't think that we can do that. I think that we've evolved so much that every American wants to look into everybody else's business. They want to protect their own space.
Right.
And we're part of it. Our kids have become part of that. All you have to do is just look at all of their electronic devices that they do and what they can do with those things and how they plan to use them. And they're using those things in ways that we never thought about before.
Right.
And I don't think-
cyberbullying.
Yeah, I don't think that where we are right now can be reversed in this generation. We're going to have to, we're going to have to find new ways of psychologically changing people for that. And that's going to be Big Brother, who would come in and put a chip in your head
Well,
And then,
that's coming.
Yeah,
If
that's
it's not,
coming.
If it's
That's
not
coming.
already here, that's all.
That's
It's
coming.
coming.
That's coming.
then
That's
that
coming.
will moderate behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow it's got to start all over again through evolution, going through the same process.
We're going to change gears here. Just into the In My Opinion show. An Arab Muslim enters a taxi cab in Dallas, Texas. Once he is seated, he asks the cab driver to turn off the radio because he must not hear music as decreed by his religion, and in the time of the Prophet there was no music, especially Western music, which is music of the infidels, and certainly no radio. So the cab driver politely switches off the radio, pulls over to the side, stops the cab, and opens the back door. The Arab asks him, "What are you doing, man?" The Texan answers, "In the time of the Prophet, there were no taxis. So get your ass out and wait for a camel."
See,
You gotta
that
love
is
Texas.
my
This has been a
goodness.
wonderful and entertaining and enlightening show. Unfortunately, we must bring the In My Opinion show to a close, but first I'd like to thank our millions of viewers worldwide. I'd like to thank our excellent technical staff and our excellent co-hosts, Mr. Neesmith Allen and Mr. Henry Hatter.
Thank you.
This is Ronald Barry Robbins for the In My Opinion show saying until next time, stay focused.